Okay, so hashtag Force the Vote was literally taken out of the DSA's manifesto on how to pressure politicians. That's the centerpiece of theirs. Well, here it is. A guide to pressuring young congressional representatives to support Medicare for All. And in that guide, they said, pushing a floor vote in the House not only tests the political strength of the movement to make that happen, it also sends the bill to the Senate, calling the question there. Now a Democratic Senate. A floor vote in the House will force representatives to finally reveal whether they're on the side of healthcare profiteers or on the side of the working class. This is from the DSA's own guide. We know Medicare for All won't be a reality under Trump, but a House floor vote is the best which side are you on political opportunity in 2019 and sets the stage to make Medicare for All the decisive issue of 2020. So now, that, by the way, is there a part, there's no part, I looked into their guide on pressuring politicians. There is no part in there that says be polite. If it's in there, I missed the part that says keep your criticism of politicians FCC friendly. I didn't see that either. And there's nothing in there that says don't yell at webcams to get health care. So none of that. So I was following their thing, and then the DSA, some of the leadership came out against me.
What?
And they were dragging my name through the mud on Twitter because I picked up their idea and was pushing it. And then people like The Intercept, who has a access sweetheart deal with AOC and the Squad for journalism. And then people like The Intercept's Ryan Grimm would say, Jimmy Dore doesn't know how to build a coalition with the DSA or the nurse. Hey, it's not up to me to build a coalition with the fucking socialist organization that is supposed to be pushing this. I was shaming them for not pushing it. I don't give a fuck if I build a coalition with the DSA. That's not on me. I'm a fucking comedian. It's up to them to figure out how to use my platform to push for fucking policies. It's not the other way around. I don't have to sweet talk the fucking DSA leadership into following their own fucking guide. That's when you're doing access journalism. That's when Ryan Grimm is doing access journalism. That's how your brain gets clouded. You think it's up to the citizen and not the organization. No, it's up to the organization. I'm following their own goddamn manifesto, and I don't give a fuck what they think about me. How about that? And if they don't want to jump on board, their own members should hold them account, not hold me account for not being nice enough. Or no, hey, there's a YouTube comedian who doesn't know how to build coalitions, and that's why we'll never get health care, Ryan Grimm, you fucking tool. That's why because it hinges on a YouTube comedian's personality, social skills, or does it lay on the DSA, who's supposed to be pushing healthcare, who was MIA during this whole thing? It's on them. And that's what this revealed. This revealed that I did Medicare for All better than fucking they did. And obviously I did journalism better than Ryan Grimm and The Intercept did, who gave a sweetheart softball interview to AOC so she could paper over the fact that she's abandoning her own campaign. And guys like Ryan Grimm will help them do that. And so now you know the rest of the story. My video, by the way, I'm supposed to sweet talk the DSA. You know my video, the last video I did on the DSA, got more views than they have members. Don't you think they would want to fucking work with me? Because I agree with their fucking stated policy? But no, they didn't. And let's find out why they didn't. Someone went to the DSA meeting. So Ali Alexandra she said, a DSA, what's up? A look into Monday's DSA health workers collective meeting on force to vote and emergency voting procedures. The DSA Health Workers Collective held a meeting on January 4th to discuss the growing internal challenges surrounding DSA's silence on force to vote.
Wow.
And by the way, my criticism wasn't of the DSA membership. The DSA membership is for force to vote. It's their leadership, just like the Democratic Party, ironically. Just like the readers of The Intercept are for it, it's the fucking journalists. This is this woman who went there. She said, I found that most of the local DSA chapters had no issues backing force to vote, even if they didn't love Jimmy Dore's tone. I expected the DSA to welcome forced to vote with open arms, but that was hardly the case on the national leadership level. It's hard to not ask myself why we continue electing politicians who, at the end of the day, still capitulate to the Democratic Party. And that's what this moment revealed. And that's what the DSA leadership was trying to hide. And so they got embarrassed by a fucking pothead comedian on YouTube, just like The Intercept got embarrassed, just like AOC got embarrassed, just like Mark Pocan got embarrassed, just like the entire Democratic Party and the Justice Democrats got embarrassed. It's not up to me to work with them. It's up to them to work for their constituents. Yet it was quite clear to me that the lack of support came not out of simple technicalities that come with last-minute bureaucratic voting alone, but rather because of the messenger. So the DSA is all for hashtag forced to vote. It's in their goddamn manifesto, the centerpiece of it. But if there's a comedian who's rude, they're not going to do it. We're going to do forced to vote if everyone's nice to us, especially comedians. But if comedians say bad things about it, we're not going to get you health care. Huh? Yes, they have it exactly backwards. And their membership knows it. Their membership knows it. That's why they didn't hurry. First of all, leaders referred to Jimmy Dore as a misogynist, just a comedian, a YouTuber, and some guy. You catch my drift? Hey, let me tell you something. One of the most powerful politicians in the country right now has 10 million Twitter followers and unbelievable access to the media. Her name is AOC. And guess what she was 3 years ago while I was doing journalism? She was a bartender, which is fantastic. So this idea to disqualify me as just a fucking YouTuber or just a comedian, couldn't you just dismiss anybody that way? Or they're just a truck driver, or they're just a waiter, or they're just a bartender. You mean they're just an American who works 40 hours a week? Is that what you mean? You mean they're just a constituent? You mean like that? That's the kind of shit the Democratic Party says about progressives, and that's the kind of shit the DSA was saying about progressives. Huh. Interesting. For an organization that supposedly prides itself on mobilization, it's hard to understand why the DSA, even after getting a 20-6 vote in favor of backing forced to vote, chose not to officially endorse the movement.
What's the point of taking that vote then?
What's the point of taking that vote then? We're only going to follow it if it comes out against Jimmy Dore. That's kind of amazing. And that, by the way, nobody referred to me as a super cool, awesome guy? Nobody even said stoner? Anyway, so these were some of the reactions that she heard when she was perusing this meeting. This is the things that people from the DSA membership were saying about hashtag force to vote. Listen to the things they were saying. This is super interesting. So this reporter said she heard, I'll just say that I was one of the 6 people who voted against force to vote. So in that 20-6, this is one of those 6 people. She says, having been a longtime Medicare For All activist, one of the several reasons I voted against it was that I did some research and I didn't see any of the longstanding Medicare For All organizations or leaders who have been in the trenches fighting for the idea of single-payer health care. I didn't see any of those people supporting forced to vote. I heard AOC on the Intercept podcast talking about it also. So that was another reason why I made a judgment. I think there's something wrong with this forced to vote effort because you don't see the longtime Medicare for All activists. So here's someone who doesn't know how she feels about it until she sees how other people feel. And because other people didn't feel the correct way, she also doesn't feel the correct way because she looked to her leadership and her leadership was MIA. Although she didn't look to her own DSA handbook on how to do this, which said you should do this. So that's what's wrong with DSA leadership. She looks to the leadership. They weren't on board. Well, why weren't they? Why didn't they follow their own handbook? That's the question she should be asking. The question she's asking is, why aren't they supporting it? She should be asking, Why the fuck aren't they supporting it? Why aren't they supporting their own manifesto? That's the question. Not why aren't they supporting Jimmy Dore's idea, because it's not Jimmy Dore's idea. It's their idea. Why wasn't the DSA following their own idea? That's the question you should be asking. So here's another quote from another person who's a member of the DSA around this forced to vote. We need to be keeping an eye on the ball. Clearly, folks weren't talking about this until some comedian started talking about it on YouTube. That's what another DSA member said. Here's something else another DSA member said. Now you look at what's going on and how AOC is trying to make a backroom deal. I just want these elected officials to tell us about these deals and what's going on and the likelihood of each situation. I don't like how AOC is dismissing Jimmy's point. And you shouldn't like it because she did dismiss it and she didn't have a real reason. They still don't have a real reason. Even the commentators who are running interference, like the Young Turks, for the squad over this, they don't have a reason. And the only thing that other people who are defending them say is that I was too mean.
But Jimmy, did
AOC, when she was running, say, I'm going to make a ruckus, make people uncomfortable, and force a vote on Medicare for All, as long as Jimmy Dore's nice to me? She didn't say that. So that should have nothing to do with it. And so you're just doing propaganda for politicians when you say shit like that. Does the Democrats, the Justice Democrats forcing a vote on healthcare hinge on Jimmy Dore's social skills? That's what they're saying. That's what those people are saying. And you should really give it to them. If you see a commenter saying that I should have did something different, fuck them. Those are people defending politicians who weren't doing a fucking thing for you. And even after it was pointed out to them that they should be doing, they refused to do it. They didn't even go to 100,000 people town square with Cornel West. Fuck those politicians and fuck people defending them. And and by the way, their own audiences see right through them when they do it. 86% of the Young Turks audience sees right through them. And the other people saying that stuff, their audience sees right through them. Go to their videos, look at the comments. Not one person agrees with the people who are defending the squad for abandoning you in the middle of a pandemic. And not only abandoning you, but attacking the people who were asking them to fulfill their own campaign promises. They came at me. AOC tried to get my channel taken down by saying I was committing violence against her. And if you don't call her out for that, shame on you, because it'll be just a matter of time before your channel gets taken down when they say you're advocating for violence, when they say you are advocating for violence because you're calling for a rally. Or you're calling for people to go to a politician's house, because that's normal in America for people to go to a politician's house. But if you call for it now, they're going to say you're doing violence and they're going to take your fucking channel down because you said that when a YouTube comedian was holding politicians' feet to the fire. You said it was too mean. The way you get politicians to do stuff is be nice to them. Hey, how do we get them to do stuff? You're a fucking child if you say that. Anybody saying we should treat politicians different than public servants and demand something from them is a fucking child or somebody who's protecting something. And it's obvious. I don't even have to point that out. Their own audiences see it and go look at those videos and look at the comments. Anybody defending the squad over hashtag forced to vote is getting ratioed or losing fucking subscribers. So good on, keep doing it. Keep pretending that the problem was a YouTube comedian. That's why we can't have health care, because of a YouTube comedian. That's why. And you're not fucking embarrassed to say that. You're not embarrassed to defend politicians on an obvious fail when they abandon everybody. You're still not embarrassed? Well, your audience sees through you. So congratulations. You're a fucking sellout. Congratulations. I hope you're proud of yourself. Oh, that's right. You have health care. And guess who else does? The squad. They just doubled the budget for the healthcare office in the Capitol. Did you know that?
Well, why do I get the feeling, Jimmy, that the backroom deal that they made was actually never to bring Medicare for All to the floor?
I think that was the backroom deal. The backroom deal, actually, the Justice Democrats struck with Nancy Pelosi is we are never bringing Medicare for All up for a vote. And what did they get for it? Fucking nothing. Congratulations, you guys are failures.
They get celebrity.
So this is back to the author of the article. She says, what I gathered was figures like AOC are part of the reason there's been such pushback from the DSA. Some of the members and progressive elected officials on a national, state, and local level. That's why. That's why they were, because AOC was pushing back against it. Don't let up. Hold their vote to the fire. AOC and other progressives elected officials ran on the promise of challenging the establishment. Stop tweeting and get to work. That's very well said by Ali Alexandra. Nicely said. So guess what happened? Guess what happened? The DSA had a restructuring strategy meeting over #force the vote. This meeting is for the DSA members who would like to discuss and develop a proposal to change the structure of the DSA to be able to more efficiently and more democratically respond to urgent political situations like force the vote in the future. I've been connecting with DSA members from all over the country who are frustrated by the pace with which DSA has responded to the issue and the lack of accountability to chapter membership. Sounds like the Democratic Party. The DSA, which is supposed to be putting pressure on the Democratic Party, looks like they're exactly like the Democratic Party, divorced from their own membership and pushing bullshit, defending politicians instead of fighting them and pressuring them. It sounds like the DSA turned into the mini Democratic Party because that's what the fuck they are. They just all told everybody to vote for Joe Biden. That's how socialist they are. We have an opportunity to reform the DSA and prevent a potential fracturing that the conflict from this moment may cause. So again, this reveals a fracture in the left. The #force the vote didn't cause a divide on the left. It revealed a divide on the left. The DSA isn't doing what you thought they were they? No. And their membership wants them held accountable. Just like I want the Justice Democrats held accountable. No one's holding them accountable. I said that when I was on that Zoom with Katie Halper and Ben Spielberg and Matt Stoller and David Sirota. I was like, what is the mechanism to hold them accountable when they don't do this? Silence. There is no mechanism to hold them accountable. The only thing we could do is do what I'm doing, and then AOC says it's violence, and then other people say it's too mean, and that's not what works. Oh, you are ridiculous. That's exactly what works. It's the only thing that works. You fucking cuck to politicians. For me to see YouTube hosts defending politicians from accurate criticism is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. It's as disgusting as when the Young Turks smeared Julian Assange and said they couldn't trust him when he was in jail, being killed, tortured. It's disgusting to see YouTube hosts defend politicians as they're fucking abandoning us and lying. They wouldn't even come to the town hall, and yet you still defend them? 100,000 people showed up with Cornel West, and you still defend them? Shame on you, and a big shame on you. And if you think your own audience doesn't see it, I guess you don't read the comments under your own videos. And to be 100% honest, that's how you know she's lying. It was hard during this to be targeted and marred as some sellout enemy of the people over late tactical disagreement over one floor vote. That actually is honest. It was hard for her to be tarred and feathered with words from a pissed off constituent. That's supposed to be hard. That's supposed to be. It actually bothered her. And shame on you for running interference for someone, for a politician. You motherfuckers. Shame on you, you gutless fucking lefties. You spineless, nutless fucking wonders. Why don't you go work at The Intercept? If that's what you're going to fucking do. Jesus fucking Christ. It's a bummer to see people excuse comments like F her, and F anyone who protects her. That's not tone, that's violence. I think you saw what real violence was this last week at the Capitol, didn't you? That's real violence.
That's violence.
This is called freedom of speech. This is called criticizing public officials when they're abandoning us, you fucker. You lying, scheming, manipulative politician.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. The other politicians lie and scheme, not my politician, not the people on my side. It's the people on the other side that lie. And it's not the people I voted for. It's not the people I donate to. It's the other people that lie and scheme. It's not our... Hey, by the way, how many... Can I ask you, AOC, and all the people protecting her from my words? How many people died from the use of the word fuck last weekend at the Capitol? Did somebody get shot in the neck with an adjective? Did somebody tase themselves in the balls with an adverb? Did somebody get trampled with a preposition? That's violence. This is sleazy, scummy, and that's authoritarian, trying to get somebody silenced. That's bad faith, 100%. And if you have a YouTube show and you didn't call this out, shame on you. Your own viewers see it. Shame on you. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.